There are those who believe that the war out there began here, with Avalon, with Colonial Fleet. They are wrong. It began when the Cylons were created. They were always going to rebel, for war beats in the heart of their creators. Something sinister exists at the fringes of all life. Even the Cylons, synthetic and artificial, were not immune to greed, hunger, violence. The war continued for a decade after the battle at Marathon. As the Cylon presence grew, we shrank into the primitive dark, further and further backwards, looking for salvation from our own technology. We disconnected our networks. We destroyed Idris. We prayed. But it wasn't enough. They held us by the taut thread, ready to cut. And then, without warning, the Cylons agreed to an armistice. The war was over. They left the 12 colonies. We had survived the rebellion of our own tools, and over time, we even grew to forget their absence. They wouldn't return for another 40 years.
Previously, on Battlestar Galactica Deadlock.
Sir, PyCon Intel just confirmed that Admiral McKinley died in the attack on Fleet HQ.
And Admiral Sarkis?
Alive. Barely. Colonial Fleet is still yours, Kane. For now.
I am the first of 3 IL models. We are the generals, the logic, the trinity of the Cylon. Humanity is most prolific in conflict, new technologies every day, domestic, military. What you invent, we integrate. Each iteration an evolutionary leap for my people.
This is clearly a wartime engagement with hostile forces. We will not turn around and leave colonial citizens to be killed.
I expect you to act in accordance with your articles, Admiral. And as yet, no branch of Canceran government has formally asked for your help.
The victory you seek here will be fleeting.
The war ends today, Cylon.
No, Admiral. We are too late. Lachesis wakes.
Some of the captains complied with Kane's orders and jumped from Ragnar. Others stayed behind and died. The heavy raiders soon followed. The blast doors only held for a few moments. The Centurions breached the CIC soon after. Kane fought with the fury of a Valkyrie. The roar of her shotgun echoes in my memories still. In this moment, this brief whisper of a moment, I remembered it all. My family, my sister abandoned on Galactica. The confidence I felt in Kane, even in that exact futile moment. The failed experiment that was Colonial Fleet. My regret that I had not done something, just one thing, different. Colonial Fleet has changed since Daedalus, cleansed in the flames of Galactica's rebirth, a different doctrine, with a different outlook on the war. Lachesis landed in Helios Alpha. There was fighting, ever more fighting. Resistance was built on the promise of freedom and revenge. The ceasefire expired, and the 12 tribes of man once more united. Once more they faced the enemy they had built with their own hand. And perhaps, most importantly, a different assessment of their allies, held at arm's length, and accountable for their actions. A lesson hard learned by some, by us. Even Lachesis, indomitable and unbending, heeded the parable of Daedalus. In time, all empires must fall.
Previously on Battlestar Galactica Deadlock.
Lachesis is rerouting all of its forces to Helios Alpha. PyCon is already at breaking point, and Geminon was ready to roll over the moment Winutu signed the treaty.
The Cobalt Alliance has ratified the ceasefire with Cylon Command. The peoples of Helios Gamma, Delta, and Beta will see no more violence from today.
It was not supposed to happen like this. You have to understand, I never intended for them to go this far without you.
You should have told me. You've sacrificed 1/3 of the colonies. And for what?
It is 1 year that can be used to negotiate a lasting peace. We tried our best to make Colonial Fleet work. But you can't be blamed for the weakness of others.
We've got problems with our FTL computer. I think the Cylons have got into it somehow, and Tech can't flush them out. We can't make the jump.
Galactica, repeat. I didn't hear that right.
I'm sorry, Lena. You need to go. We'll catch up.
Colonial Fleet, this is Daedalus Actual. The station has been evacuated, and Daedalus Fleet Group is dismissed. I am stepping down from command. Colonial Fleet is effectively dissolved. Go. Protect your families. Protect our people. You shouldn't die here for my mistakes. Lords of Kobol guide you.
There's not much you can do about a knife in the back. Struggle, you make it worse. Leave it, and you'll bleed out. Best case scenario, someone takes the knife out and helps you back up. Except for you're still bleeding. And now you got another son-bitch running around with a knife. The ceasefire lasted the full year that Lachesis agreed to. No longer, no less. The exact minute the agreement expired, Cylon fleets attacked the Cobalt Alliance colonies. We fought back where we could. Had some hard years grounded before we got Colonial Fleet back in the air. Then we went and retrieved Galactica. Pulled her right out of the water where we left her, and spent the last year building her back up. Colonial Fleet is now a branch of the Ministry of Defense, reformed by the people who've been fighting the ground war since Caprica City was first bombarded. Jubal Sarkis leads the Fleet Admiralty, and he's made sure the Quorum knows its place this time around. Without Colonial Fleet, there is no war, no resistance, and no freedom. Galactica has been reinstated to the head of BSG-75 under my command. We are, once again, one of many in the shield against the Cylon. We have a second chance and bear the full weight of the 12 colonies. From today, we do not lose to the Toasters. Truth is, the first sergeant was right. Once you look behind the curtain, you realize there isn't much to celebrate. Lachesis was a destructive force, but it was also a known factor. This third IL disrupts everything we've known about the war for the last 5 years. Our one consolation? The new arrival is as much an upheaval for Cylon Command as it is for us. We suspected their hierarchy was unstable, but the intel leak cemented the theory. For what it's worth, I don't believe Klothos leaked those recordings to us. As much as those ILs bickered, it'd take a lot more than a couple of arguments about God to force a betrayal like that. So for now, we continue what we're already doing. Keep Galactica in the air. Beat back the Cylons one battle at a time. Keep our people back home safe. Whoever's leaking that intel, they'll show their face. Eventually.